You competed in the LSE Challenge. Two very tough opponents resulting go your way. Just talk about what you saw from your team this past weekend.
Well, preseason's over now. You know, we scheduled tough. You know, almost half our matches were against top 25 teams or teams that receive votes. So you do that for a reason, and you get one of two outcomes. You know, you get the one you want, or you get the one you get. You know, and sometimes those are the same. But it hasn't been the same. But the goal in that is to prepare you for your conference schedule, which starts this week. You know, and so. You know, there's some things that we need to get better at for sure. But like in the first match that we competed in, you know, we're down 2-0 and we're not playing very well. And then we made some changes, some kids stepped up, we played hard. You know, you lose a 16-14 set 5 match, which always seems to be the way it goes when we play UT Tyler. She said the same thing right after another match, another 5-setter, you know. So I wasn't disappointed, you know. I just think that we've got to get better at some areas of the game that are holding us back a little bit, and the team is on board with that. So, you know, the preseason was there to prepare you, to show you where your holes are, and you know, I think playing against high-level competition is always the best way to go. You know, we could go out and schedule teams that we could just drill, but that's not going to really show us what we're made of. You know, so. You know, we took a few lumps, probably a couple more than I expected, but here we are. Conference starts this week, and everybody's in the same boat. We're all 0-0, you know, 0-0. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting back in the gym, and I think they are too.
Good segue in my question. What's the main area of emphasis this week heading into your LSE home opener?
I think there's two, really. I think we have to be better in our first contact. You know, when the other team is serving the ball at us, we've got to do a better job of being in system, you know, a little more less scramble in that area of the game, you know what I mean? And I think the second thing is when we're defending the ball and we're setting, we've got to get better looks. We're trying to run so fast, but we're trying to run fast in bad situations, which usually doesn't add up to a quality swing. So we've got to create opportunities to get better quality swings when we're defending, you know? So I think those two things, the combination of those two things will help us stay in points a little bit longer, terminate points a little bit sooner, you know, and drop our unforced error ratio a little bit.
And that matchup is against St. Mary's. What do you expect to see in that matchup?
They're tough, you know, they're scrappy. They've got some nice attackers, you know. They're in a unique situation because they were a husband-wife, head coach, assistant coach. Well, the wife took another job back home in Illinois. So the husband has stayed, and they have a child. So wife took the child. Like, it's just they're in a unique situation, you know, and so he's coaching that team and she's up coaching her team in Illinois. And so, you know, anything is possible. You know, they've had a couple really quality wins, you know, they've also lost a couple that I didn't think they probably should have, you know. So right now our focus is on our side, honestly. You know, we'll look and see what they do, what they're about, but like, if we can handle the ball better, if we can do the things that I just mentioned before, a little bit at a higher level, I think we'll be just fine.
Coach, you talked about some of the growing pains through non-conference.
Yeah.
Now talk about some of the stuff you're like, man, we are really good at that.
I think we have the potential to be great from the service line. You know, in that match against Tyler, we came out and we just put the pedal to the metal. Like we had a number of aces and just really tough serves to put them in bad situations in sets 3 and 4, which really put us into that set 5. You know, I think we have the ability to be really good in that area. I think our middles can score, you know. I think they're efficient. I think they move well. I think they're high, you know, in the air so that they can take quality looks. Like I said, it all comes back to that first contact. If we're not in a position where we can get them the ball, it hurts us a little bit. So I think those are two areas that I think that we're pretty good at.
And you had a brutal non-conference schedule. I know you schedule like that on purpose.
Yeah.
Makes the girls take their lumps early, you know. How have they responded to that now that conference is here? You're like, okay, now the season starts for real.
Yeah, I think positively. You know, like Mondays are our off day. Like we don't practice on Mondays, but I got a bunch of kids banging on the door wanting to get in the gym today. You know, that tells me everything I need to know about this group and what they want and how hard they want to work for it. You know, so yeah, I do think that we probably, you know, I knew it was going to be a tough preseason schedule, you know, and I knew that we were going to take a couple whacks here and there. I think we took a little more than we probably wanted to, but it's put us in a position where that we can learn from and grow from, and hopefully we do that. That's the thing. You know, you don't want to lose all those matches. You know, play tough teams and get beat here or there for no reason. You want to be able to learn from those mistakes and those losses. So hopefully we've been able to do that. And you know, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Looking forward to this week of practice. I think our team is too. You know, we want to be 2-0 after the weekend. That's our only goal right now.
You know, Coach, you discussed in previous press conferences that you have a lot of new faces out there that are getting more time on the court.
Yeah.
Talk to me about just some of those players specifically and just how you think they've acclimated to seeing the court more often.
Well, I think they're getting more comfortable. They're used to the level now. They're kind of like one in particular, Julia Hopkins. I think she's really done a nice job for us from the attacking side of things. She's right now probably our most consistent attacker. Like she's scoring at a pretty high clip. You know, so I think that being exposed to a bunch of top 15, top 20 teams has really kind of opened some of those young kids' eyes, you know. Some of them that didn't maybe want to have them opened, but they got them opened, you know, and so they see what it takes to be at that level, to play at that level, and so now they have something to kind of strive for.
And then, of course, you already talked about St. Mary's on Friday. On Saturday, welcome in St. Edwards. What do you expect from that matchup in particular?
New coach, new system, you know, a lot of energy. Like Jeremy, their new coach, he's a great coach. He's been around a lot of really good programs. He was a volunteer at Texas when he was an undergrad there. Been exposed to some high-level stuff. Was an assistant at Duke for a while. So he's been in 2 Power 5, Power 4, I guess, conferences now. You know, and he's from Austin, so he's I think his cousin played on our baseball team the year that we won a national championship and the following year. So he was out here a lot actually watching his cousin play. You know, so he and I got to be pretty good friends, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's doing a great job out there, and so there'll be another fun match too.
Thank you,
All
Coach.
good, Coach. Thank you.